It's me.
The one, the only.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Your Lane with Coach Trish Hanna. I am so pleased to be in your presence once more, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we are on episode 3. The entire month, we are focusing on parenting, but this day, we will be focusing on pregnancy, our gains, and our pains. The first episode, we spoke about our children and their mental states. Last week, we focused on single parenting, along with having our ASP bowls over to discuss some things that we made hints and tips on how we can better improve our the way that we see and view our children pertaining to whether or not that they are in trouble with either gang related issues or being bullied at school or taking drugs, etc. So last week was very interesting. You can go into Your Lane life coaching page to view last week's broadcast. So back to pregnancy gains and pains. About 10% of women, that's about 6.1 million in the United States, ages 15 to 44, have difficulty getting pregnant or staying pregnant, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And this was done in February 2021. We may think that getting pregnant and sticking through until birth should be very easy because we are women and that seems to be the most natural thing to do. But for most women, it is rather difficult. When we read magazines and watch movies, we see all the joys of pregnancies and all the beautiful pics, but it's very rare that you get to hear the downside of pregnancy. I have been exposed to lots of women here in the Bahamas who have had difficult times conceiving or, in some instances, had experienced at least one miscarriage. Today, on episode 3, we will be discussing pregnancy from gains to pains. I already said that. Calculations to congratulations. I have with me in studio two beautiful women who will be discussing their journey along with us. And also joining us later on will be Dr. Nina Graham, obstetrician and gynecologist. She will be telling us everything we need to know about pregnancy, including high risk pregnancies. So feel free to call in at any point of today's discussion just to ask a question or to input. Today's show is brought to you by Listerine, distributed by Lowe's Wholesale, Airborne Freight and Cargo Services, Calico Bay. Say it with me. Where the cool kids shop, Celestial Treats, John's Shoe Store and Accessories, National Workers Cooperative Credit Union, Family Medicine Center, woohoo, and Fifth Place Restaurant and Bar. It's all going down tonight at Fifth Place Restaurant and Bar for Bahamian Tang Volume 3. Well, child, y'all must be coming in raincoat and umbrella. I don't know. I'm supposed to call to find out if it's still going to be happening, but I guess no one said anything to me, so I think it's still going down. Come there, head there, and represent your island. Call to see if it's still happening. The number there is 817-2942. That's 817-2942, just to find out if they're still going along with the program. Doors open 6 o'clock, which is now, and it will be free entry before 8 p.m. That's Fifth Place Restaurant and Bar, located Theodora Lane off Tonic Williams Darling Highway. My predictions of emotions today for this episode is 80% serious aha moments, 10% laughter, and 10% teardrops. At some point in this show, somebody somewhere gonna cry. It might just be me. You can view us on Facebook on Your Lane Life Coaching page or Star 106 FM's page, or you can listen to us on channel 976 on cable. Now, this subject isn't one that is to be taken lightly, so I will try to take my time with this. Once again, I have with me in studio Miss Carrie Ann Hanna and Mrs. Carrie Ann Hanna and Mrs. Ashanta Gibson. Welcome, ladies. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
I want to start first with Mrs. Carrie Ann Hanna. Can you introduce yourself to us, please?
Mrs. Carrie Ann Hanna.
That sounds so nice.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon, Bahamas.
Go ahead. Come tell us a little bit about
Oh, you want more? Oh, okay. I thought I was just saying my name. We were going to go down the line. Okay. So I am a wife and mother of 3. Do you want me to go ahead and start talking about my journey right away, or?
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so the journey for me was not normal. Let me put it like that, because you normally, you get married, you have a baby, then you have another baby, and it goes on like that. But for me, my issue was not with conceiving; it was just staying pregnant. So I had one first trimester miscarriage and two second trimester miscarriage before I had my beautiful rainbow baby, my baby girl, the only baby girl. So, um, I don't know. What do you want me to say first? We went through the first miscarriage, and that was a shock because at first I didn't know that I was pregnant. And right after we getting the baby, then it was maybe 2 weeks, and then you know there was no baby coming, and that was devastating to say the least. And then it was some 2 years later that I got pregnant again, and cautiously optimistic this time, right? But still excited nonetheless. And I was like, okay, doctors said, first pregnancies often end in miscarriage. So I wasn't really worried about a miscarriage a second time around. And, belly's growing, feeling movement, getting all excited, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your church, and then things started to look a little funny, and you go to the doctor and he says, well, bed rest and all that. We tried that. I had to stop working at the time. I didn't mind that. But the bed rest honestly was difficult to do at first, but you kind of got used to it. And then you did all of that and, took your vitamins, rested, stay off your feet. And then still, I think what the medical term was, I don't like to hear it say it, but I think they said spontaneous abortion. I think that was the medical term they used at the time. And that was the second time around. We got to 21 weeks. So I'm already feeling movement, belly's already growing. Didn't really need to, but hey, we were wearing maternity clothes, right? That was just in the excitement of things. And then after that miscarriage, I had pretty much decided I don't think pregnancy is for me. And then it wasn't just me, it was my friends who were close to me, it was my family who were all excited, and then they were sad. I was sad, they were sad, everybody was broken about it. So talking to my husband, trying to figure out, are you going to be okay if we never have any children? Because, we came into this all excited. He always said he wanted 3. I knew that going into it. He always said it. To this day, he said he wants 3. So we're at 3. So I think we're done, right? But anyway, that was the second miscarriage. And then actually, it was 2 years after that we got pregnant again. No, it was 1 year after that. And with that miscarriage, we actually got to 22 weeks. So we got a little bit further this time. And I think for me personally, that was the most devastating one. Because we've done it 3 times. We've done everything that we were told to do. And still, no baby. And one of the things that stands out in my memory was we still had to deliver. And I say we because my husband was right there, right? Yeah. We still had to deliver this baby that we knew was too young, even with medical intervention to survive. Yeah. And this was my second time doing this in doctor's hospital. And this will be the second time they used to give you, I don't know if they still do, this book called Empty Arms. That's the saddest book ever. I will not recommend that to anybody. The saddest book ever. So I left doctor's hospital with my second copy of Empty Arms. I don't know whose idea that was, but when I tell you sad, I didn't read it the first time, tried to get through it the second time, but it wasn't helpful at all, for me at least. So that was 2. This time, I was completely sure I'm not doing this again. I told my husband, I said, I don't know what you could do. Maybe we could start talking about adoption. I don't know if you have a cousin somewhere who has too many babies and, we could adopt one or something. But, we do that, right? Yeah. You don't even have to go through the court or anything. You just, you got a baby. I need a baby, Give me a baby, right? Yeah. Right. So, we talked about it. He never put any pressure on me about it. But in the back of my head, I still, okay, it didn't work. Maybe, I'm kind of hopeful, but cautiously so. Anyway, so I remember the conversation that we had. He said to me, well, let's do it a little different this time. I said, what do you mean? He said, maybe you want to go home. And he says home, he means Barbados, because that's where I'm originally from. And, be with your mother and your sisters and, and maybe that'll change something. I don't know. I said, well, let me talk to my old OB and see what he says and let him know, what I've been dealing with over here or whatever. By this time, I had gone through the process. We had three three different doctors and they were all saying the same thing. We don't know, with your history, it may be difficult. You may never get to full term. Not even full term, because we weren't trying to get to full term. We were trying to get to viability. That's the term when you get to, I think, at least 27 weeks. Anyhow, I was even considering this very invasive procedure that was done at the hospital. I forget the name, somewhere in Chicago, Dr. Haney. So abdominal cerclage, but it's major surgery, and I was considering it. To be honest, I was seriously considering it. Had all the paperwork, had my test done, was already in contact, and then I was pregnant. So anyhow, went to Barbados, stayed there for a while. This time I didn't tell anybody because seriously, it's not just you who's pregnant. You're the ones near, and they're there with you on the journey. And I couldn't handle the disappointment again. And everybody's sad, and mommy's crying, and my sister's like, oh, it was a lot. And my husband knew, I knew, my doctor knew, and that was it. I think my mother was the first person I told, because you can't hide nothing from mommy, right? And I was there. I was on strict bed rest. I remember it like it was yesterday. That's not easy. You can't move. You can't go nowhere. Can't do nothing. Strict bed rest. And at 22 weeks, there we go again. Cervix starts to open through 2 cerclages. I don't know how, but cervix starts to open again. So my doctor says, okay, I'm going to admit you, and you're going to stay in the hospital until this baby comes out. And you're going to go home with the baby. I said, Dr. Thomas, how you could say that, my history and all this and that. He said, you're going to go home with the baby. So between him and my husband, they had faith when I didn't have the faith. I'll be honest and say, at the beginning, when we got to that 22 weeks, and remember, I said 22 weeks before, right? When we got to 22 weeks, I was shaking, literally shaking and hoping, but still kind of preparing myself. Well, and my husband said, Carrie, don't even worry about it. Let's just do this and we'll see what happens. So was in the hospital, strict bed rest. I just shared this story recently. I remember, hospitals, they usually have like chapel sessions on Sundays. So I remember I messaged my doctor. I said, well, Dr. Thomas, it's Sunday and I was thinking about going to chapel. And he said, sure, if you can get your bed down there. Strict bed rest. So for 3.5 months, my feet did not touch the ground. Wow. So everything that happened in I remember my girlfriend, my best friend, Lisa, who's listening, I think, from Barbados. She used to come and shampoo my hair for me in my bed, right? And she used to come braid it up nice and all that. So then she used to have to send photographs to my husband. Because he always said, well, how you doing? How you feeling? We talk all the time, several times a day, but he never really saw it, my belly grow this time around. So he was very eager. He got, I think it was every other day that he got photos, So that's how we did it, with the grace of God and lots of science and shots and all the other things. We got to the point where I think I was 34 weeks when he let me go home. He said, if this baby comes now, you're going to go home with your baby. So he said, go home. My husband came to Barbados and we were just enjoying it. I could hardly walk. I mean, I was rocking because I hadn't walked for 3.5 months. Yeah. So I actually had to do physical therapy before they let me out of the hospital. And by now everybody knew. Everybody knew. And I was home. I was able to go downtown, go shopping and do all the fun stuff. Take a photo shoot, the pregnancy photo shoot and all that. And I think at that point is when I really, really started enjoying the pregnancy. Now, my faith came long before that. Somebody had, one of my friends from Barbados had recommended this book for me, Supernatural Childbirth.
That was my favorite. Okay.
Because I've been recommending that book to people that I meet who are having similar challenges. It was such an encouragement to me. It was such an encouragement. So when I was reading that book was when I got my faith, which was when I was admitted to the hospital. Wow. So around 22 weeks. Such an encouragement to me, and the testimonies in that book. And then I had another friend who would she would come and she would take my iPod and she would load it and bring it back to the hospital for me. Say, okay, it's been about 2 weeks now. Any songs you want to stay?
Yeah.
And she would bring me some new songs, and any of the old ones that I like, she would make sure that they're back on there. And then it was just a community and a village. That's the word, a village of support. And those 6 weeks that I was out of the hospital, it was just absolutely awesome. And I was just thanking God because whatever happened, I knew at that point, I knew I was coming home with a baby. My husband had already decided it was a girl before we actually knew it was going to be a girl. And believe it or not, she was late. I was pregnant for 41 weeks and 5 days. And they were about to induce me. He put me in the hospital that Monday. He said, okay, we'll induce you tomorrow. And that Tuesday, I actually woke up in labor and Shavari Abigail was born.
Hey.
To God be the glory.
Wonderful. Listen to me. Big ups to Carrie Ann's friends from Barbados, those at home that were praying, that were unable to come over to Barbados. It's nothing like a community. It's nothing like when you have persons to support you. Listen, even when, like she said, your faith may not be as high or to the level where it should be, but you have a community of persons who are cheering you on, who are saying, "Girl, you got this. You're gonna do this. You're gonna make it. All as well." Coming and washing your hair for you and and updating your iPod. That is just wonderful. And actually, one of the topics that we'll be discussing later down in the months will be friendships and relationships, because that is very vital. I mean, friends can make or break you. So that's definitely something that I have to discuss on this show, Lord's willing. And so, Carrie Ann, I mean, you spoke, and most of the questions that I wanted to ask you, you already answered. I mean, you're just so strong. But you're not done because you only spoke about
Shawaria.
But there's more. Wait, there's more.
There's
when
more.
You're watching those the TV shows that when they doing little what do you call it, the little infomercials.
Oh,
and they're like, wait, but there's more. So let's hear you. There's more real quick before we go on.
Okay, so the official diagnosis for my miscarriages was incompetent cervix, right? That's when your cervix starts to open prematurely, which usually, well, it can sometimes lead to the end of the pregnancy prematurely as well. So imagine the cervix that was not holding one baby was now expecting twins.
I feel a shout. I feel a shout.
So, like my doctor told me, the cervix doesn't get stronger with pregnancy, So he said, what did we do the last time? Because then when I found out I was pregnant, which is a story by itself, I'd gone back to where I was home with my daughter for 2 years. She started kindergarten. And I was 3 months into a new job that I really liked. Anyhow, got a throat infection just after Christmas. And when you go to the doctor, you're female and you're of that age, the doctors say, well, let's check. So we checked and I was pregnant, but I didn't know that I was expecting twins yet. I said, from what I know, this would have just happened, because, when you kind of headed in the next direction, you're taken by surprise. And anyhow, I said, well, from what I saw last month, it just happened. So he said, well, anyhow, we're going to do an ultrasound and we're going to put a date on this and we'll see where we're at. So I go now. That was my general practitioner, by the way. I go now to my OB here, and she's ultrasounding, and she's all excited because she's expecting two, and talking about babies and all that. And then she says, "Okay, so when you said you think you got pregnant," I said, "Just maybe around the holidays." She said, "No." I said, "What you mean, no?" She said, "No." I said, "All right. Well, how pregnant are we?" She said, "You are measuring at 13 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Then she said, "Uh-oh." I said, "What?" When you go to the doctor, you get an ultrasound, the doctor says, that causes immediate concern. So she said, "Hannah, have you been on any fertility drugs?" I was like, "No." I said, "I'm actually on birth control." He said, "Well, obviously not anymore," and it obviously failed.
Right.
But she says, "I see 2 heartbeats." So I'm like,
Dun dun dun.
Baby brain, right? I said 2 heartbeats, so the baby has 2 hearts. Because she already registered her concern, so I was thinking now something is wrong.
Right.
I wasn't thinking that it's
Yeah,
just more than
right.
one baby. I was thinking baby has 2 hearts. So she says no, there are 2 babies in there, and I'm like, what? And I laughed for 15 minutes straight.
Wow.
15 minutes. I could not stop because what immediately came to my mind was a prayer that I had said after my daughter was born. I said, God, I appreciate you allowing me to have my daughter, right?
Yeah.
But you are God and you're able to do anything. If we're going to do this again, please don't let us have to do it the same way.
Oh wow.
Because trust me, that bed rest is not easy. Everybody has to do something for you. And, with my family, they didn't make me feel like, why you can't move or anything like that. But just having to just lay there is
Right.
not easy.
Yeah.
So I said this for God, you God, if we have to do this again, please don't let us have to do it the same way. So said, so done. So now we're expecting 2 babies. And I was able to work. I mean, it wasn't anything strenuous. I was able to work. And then one day I just started feeling a little dizzy. So I went outside and I sat down. I was about 5 months in, 5.5 months in by then. I called my husband. I said, I think I should go to the doctor because I'm feeling a little dizzy and this is new. And he said, okay, I'm going to come and get you. So he came and he got me. And I remember driving and we were in the truck. So I was sitting next to him and I said to him, well, everything just seems to be getting like narrower. My vision just kind of was closing in like that. And when I came to, he was like shaking me, carry on, open your eyes, open your eyes. So apparently I had passed out.
Oh damn.
So on my way to the doctor, I had passed out. So I got to the doctor now and I called him and told him what was happening. I told him I passed out in the truck on the way here. And believe it or not, while I was telling him that, I said, it's happening again. It's happening again. Sitting on the bed, I passed out again. He said, oh, don't worry about it, Hannah. I got you. So I just felt him lay me down like that. And he came to, he said, okay, one of your babies is laying on some nerve or vein or something apparently that's responsible for taking blood to the vein to the brain.
Yeah.
So that's why you're fainting. So he said, today's your last day. You're not even going back. Call and let them know today's your last day. I said, okay. I said, so how do we fix this? He said, well, really and truly, you can't. You just kind of have to go with it. So couldn't be alone, couldn't drive.
So did you go through? You did bed rest again?
Well,
Kind of,
sort of.
Just
He
didn't
said,
go to work.
right. I didn't go to work, and he said, to just take it easy, stay home, take it easy. He didn't say I couldn't do anything in particular, like the strict bed rest that I had before. He just said, just take it easy. And I had maybe.
Listen, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I really want us to get to a break.
Oh.
And I want to hear the rest of the story.
Okay,
So
and
right
we
after
almost
this
done
break,
too.
Yes, we're gonna take a break now, and then we'll hear the remainder of this story because now we went from 0 to 1 to 2.
To 2.
My God. All right, let's take a break.
You can see comments?
Yes, such a strong woman.
Okay.
Those birth
You sounded
control,
like Jarrell Miller just now.
That was
My
like,
God.
wow.
My God.
Broke. I broke as in broke. All right, so we're still live, okay? So don't tell me all y'all secrets.
Oh.
All right, because they can still hear you.
Oh, okay.
But that's phenomenal. So when we actually, hello to all my Facebook viewers. Hello, Gandhi. Hello, Joan. Hello, Tommy. Hello, Nadia. Blessings to you all. And if you have any questions or comments, you can actually send it over to Facebook and we will try our best to answer them. Yeah? So, Carrie, when we come back on, we're going, I'm just going to ask you about what advice you can give to women experiencing who have experienced a series of miscarriages or perhaps experiencing a series of miscarriages.
You got a library for them?
Yeah, I read one already.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just one more. They happen to be at the very end. Yeah.
And it's
Every Sunday.
every Sunday.
You need the link.
Yeah, you can send the link to me. And Trishon, I usually listen on the actual radio, so I
Yeah.
never caught the live.
Yeah. That'll be good. Planning a party and you don't want the headache of running around town to look for the supplies? That's Celestial Treats do the work for you. I used them on numerous occasions and I found them to be very professional and prices are extremely reasonable. They have regular and gourmet popcorn, cotton candy, snow cones, hot dogs, pizza, nachos, party bags and boxes, party supplies, party rentals, and so much more. They're located in Claridge and Raymond Roads, and you can call them at 605-9899 or 395-9899. Visit their Facebook page, Celestial Treats, to see some of their work.
National Workers Cooperative Credit Union Nomination Committee is seeking nominations for the following:
Up
two
to the
positions
next
for the board,
commercial.
two positions for the credit committee, and two positions for the supervisory committee. Applications can be obtained from any office of the credit union or by requesting it via email to nomination committee
How
at
do people, well, I
mail.com.
don't say people, this is what I asked my American friend today. How does she pronounce obstetrics? Does she, I mean, how do y'all pronounce obstetrics?
Obstetrics.
Do you say
Obstetrics,
obstetrics or
yes.
to obstetrics?
Obstetrics.
Okay. Was found with a whole child in mind. The team there believes if a
Sounds so
child looks
funny.
ill, he or
Obstetrics.
she will please you just say OB.
Or OBGYN.
OBGYN. They're located at number 84 Christie Avenue in Stapleton Gardens. Their boutique hours are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. You can give them a call at 677-3409 or visit their website
Somebody.
at www.calico8.com.
Sunday school's still going on.
You're listening.
Where's this? 7 Hills. This is virtual.
Oh. Carrie Ann,
Mhm.
man, you had us on edge. You just like, okay, what's next? All right. So the last thing you said was that one of the boys was causing you to faint.
Yes.
I wonder if he's still doing that to you.
Truth be told, I don't know which one it was.
Which one, Audrey?
I don't know which one it was because there were two socks.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, there were two socks.
But-
So
So long story short, you had twins after
mhm,
the first child,
prematurely.
prematurely.
I had premature twins.
Okay.
Yes. So we got to 27 weeks.
Wow, but they're still here.
They're still here and they
Active,
are
healthy,
well. They are well. To
thriving.
God be the glory.
Amen.
Now I have to tell you,
Ah.
once we got to about 26 weeks
Mhm.
and a couple of days, one of the socks started to leak. I actually know which one that was, but I wouldn't say.
Right.
One of the socks started to leak, so that actually put me in premature labor. They tried to delay it, but it didn't quite work.
Mhm.
So at 27 weeks, I had my boys. So God did do it differently this time
Yeah.
because now they were in the hospital, but I wasn't.
Okay, so we gotta practice. You have
Yes.
to be careful. We'll be praying for.
We should be
first
careful.
Of all. And this is my question to you for persons who are. Well, first of all, Carrie Ann, I don't know if you've been exposed to, but I can tell you, so many women out there are experiencing infertility issues. A few in the church that I attend. One who just recently had a baby last year. She's like, I can't wait to tell my story. I was like, honey, the next go around, you're gonna be on this
Mhm.
station telling your story. But there are so many, and even in just real quick, just before my 3, I experienced a miscarriage as well, and I wasn't as far gone as you were. I think I would have died, but I was about, I think, 12 or 13 weeks in, when I went in for my checkup, and the doctor said, well, I'm not seeing a heartbeat. I'm not hearing a heartbeat.
Devastating words.
So he felt bad even telling me that.
Yeah.
So he was like, let me let you get a second opinion and allow me to go cross road to the lab to go check it out. Now, it would have been probably a little bit nicer if I had the person that dealt with me, the technician, that was a little bit sensitive. She was extremely rough. Oh, you know, I'd be there.
What?
Okay.
Cold.
And I went in that Jeep and I bawled my eyes out. I was just devastated. I was one of those who, before all of this, we took about a year and a half to even try to conceive. Okay, so I was like, okay, look at God answering my prayers, and then look at him taking it away. That's what I thought. Okay, and so I was like, why are you being so mean to me? Yes, I'm just that transparent. Why are you being mean to me? Why are you doing this to me? You know, what do you mean calling me on there? Why are you being so mean to me? What is happening? And then, long story short, for me, he came through not once, but what, three
Three
times?
times.
3 times after that.
Look
I
at
was the
God.
sad who would avoid, like how last week was Mother's Day. Was it Mother's Day last week? I would have avoided going anywhere or hearing anything about anything to do with mothers.
Yeah.
I used to visit my mom's church on Mother's Day on that Sunday, and the pastors would say things like, all the women, all the wives stand up. And I was like,
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
it was just terrible. It was terrible for me, and it's nothing worse than when you have like the elderly people in the church. Well, child, when y'all gonna have church?
People.
When y'all this little
Insensitive.
while now? This person's going and they'll be pinching your side.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening here? It's been
Oh,
a while.
here's this one. When you can make foot for socks.
Oh yeah.
I never heard that before.
Okay. I'm like, what's going on? But I've been avoiding those moments. I've been avoiding those because I just couldn't take it. Like I said, I have a few friends now to this day, and I think they're right under me. So they're 13 years in marriage and still have not conceived as yet. And she been through every single thing. She went to Barbados to do the IVF and all these different things, and every one of those eggs, just everything was carried. It just withered away. And so what can you tell women, or what advice can you give women who have experienced a series of miscarriage, or at the point where they feel as if they are unable to conceive at all?
Well, Trishon, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk to the women who went through miscarriages first, just real quick.
Go ahead.
I have learned of the importance of telling my story. I will tell it to anybody who will listen, because when I was going through it, I felt so alone. Like, why is this happening to me? Because I don't know nobody who had miscarriages, and further than having more than one miscarriage. Mm-hmm. So for the people who went through this, trust me, there's somebody who's waiting to hear your story, who needs to hear it to be encouraged to get from where they are to where they need to be. Mm-hmm. So that's to the women who have been through it. Mm-hmm. To the ones who may be going through it now, and you may not even have a reason. Nobody was able to say specifically, well, here's your diagnosis, or here's why your miscarriage happened. Surround yourself with people who are like-minded. Mm-hmm. People who will hold on with you in faith. I don't care how it looks. I know, because of my telling my story, I have met people who have even more significant stories, in my opinion, than mine. Okay, I've met people I met a woman, right, who had one child, and the pregnancy was so difficult, she decided she wasn't having any more. Mm-hmm. She got tied off. Everybody know what that is, right? Yeah. She was in the hospital with me when I was having Shavaria, pregnant. And she didn't, yes. 8 years hence. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when God's trying to get a child into this world, it's gonna come. Okay, hell or high water. So surround yourself with people who will have faith with you, because you're not always gonna be in a place of faith, and that's been my testimony. Mm-hmm. You don't always have it, but if there's somebody close to you who will have faith, you will get there. You will, with God's help. You will.
That is awesome. Listen, regular visits to the gynecologist should be part of every woman's healthcare regimen. At Family Medicine Center, they offer a wide range of routine gynecological services to meet the unique healthcare needs of women in every phase of life, from adolescence through childbearing years, menopause, and beyond. In addition to comprehensive gynecological services, they offer complete obstetric care for normal and difficult pregnancies. Visit their website for more information. That's www.familymedicinecenter.org, or call them at 702-9310. Carrie-Ann, your story is phenomenal, and of course one that needs to be shared. I know that there are people out there who are definitely encouraged by your testimony. You went from 0 to 1 to double. So my last and final question to you, Carrie-Ann, before I move on. Anyone in the oven?
Trishon?
Trishon? Because what they say, you can't just have 3 like that hanging. Me who have 3, You can't just have 3 and just leave it like that. It has to be a balance, and that's what they say.
When you have your 4th, then we could talk about that.
Good. Okay, you shut me right up. And ain't no 4 coming this way. Tell you that.
You stay right there. I'll tell you what happened to the lady I met in the hospital, eh?
So our next guest this evening, thank you so much, Carrie. Our next guest this evening is Mrs. Ashanta Gibson. Ashanta, please let us hear about you, your introduction, and your story, your journey.
In short, Ashanta Gibson, full-time wife, busy mom, fashion enthusiast, shopaholic, a lover of family, and a lover of people. Ashanta.
Woo! Woo, woo. All right, so let's hear about your journey, Ashanta.
Well, how much time we have, Trish? My journey began, well, okay, hubby and I, we got married April 20th, 2002. And of course, after you would have gotten married, you have plans for children, and we gave ourselves about 2 years. 2 years came, 2 years went by. We started trying, nothing happened. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth year, nothing happened. We've been trying. We did everything in the book that we could have possibly, handle, and nothing happened. The problem was inexplicable. The doctor said, just like Carrie Ann, we went through 3 doctors. The problem was just not, obvious. So, but, I kept the faith. I had have a husband who prayed us straight through, because there were times when I felt as if I couldn't do it on my own. He was right there, and he was such a tower of strength, a prayer warrior, and we kept the faith. So 8 years in, nothing happened. And it was in the 9th year I discovered that we were pregnant. And, that day, in short, it was just a powerful day. It was a time of rejoicing, a time of praising, because I knew what I went through. My loved ones knew what I went through. And here it was, the miracle was in our hands. And I didn't have any problems keeping the baby, but our problem was just conceiving. And so it was on the 23rd of August, 2010, I discovered we were pregnant. Went in, I was 6 weeks, did not know, didn't have a clue. I just felt ill for about a week. And hubby encouraged me to go and check. I was like, I'm not interested in that, because, you're disappointed after checking, and, you're discouraged. You don't want to see a negative. And I remember vividly, the day I went to check, I asked the pharmacist for the cheapest test. The cheapest. I was tired spending money on pregnancy. And expensive.
Yeah.
So he laughed. He said, "Okay, ma'am, this one is for $6." I said, "Okay, give me that." Give me that one. Went home. I took the test. Forgot I took the test. Left it in the restroom where I took the test. And I was reminded that I took this test. Went in. I was like, "Oh Lord." Anyway, still doubtful, but still keeping the faith.
Yeah.
Ask me how that worked.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know, but that's
We know.
Yes, and I went in and I picked it up and saw the double lines.
Wow.
Listen, I jumped from the floor straight to the ceiling. I was like, no way, this could not be, because this is what I hoped for. This is what I prayed for 9 years, and God came through. So 9 months went by, gave birth to our beautiful, bouncing baby girl, Zael. Abigail Joyce Gibson. And for 4 years, we had her. And the testimonies didn't stop there. I'm speeding along now. The testimonies didn't stop there. Went in, discovered that I was pregnant again. And miraculously,
Yes.
God did it, And our oldest son, Xylo, I thought God was finished.
Oh, hold on. But there's more.
There is more.
There's more.
There is more. Then came our second son, Zachary. And by this time, Carrie Ann, we were straight. 3.
Satisfied.
Completed, done, mission accomplished. God said, no, not just yet. And there came our 4th child, Xavier and Joshua Jonathan Gibson. And to this day, we give God all the glory, because I just told this story and I used the phrase, from fruitless to fruitful, and all in God's time.
Yes.
Keep the faith, praise, celebrate those who would have gone on before you. That was hard.
Yes.
But it's a learned behavior, and
Mhm.
it's not going to come overnight. But celebrate with those that go on before you, and know that your experience is just a waiting room experience.
Mhm.
That is what took me through for 9 years. I kept telling myself this is just a waiting room. And as females, as women, we don't always like to wait. I don't like to wait. I could be
No.
honest.
Waiting is hard.
Exactly. I'm on the takeout or fast food line.
Yeah,
I'm ready for my
microwave.
turn.
Let's go.
Let's do this. But
Yeah.
for 9 years, this was something that we wanted. You talked about Mother's Day. Oh, I dreaded that day. I dreaded that day because, let me rewind, I'm also a pastor's wife.
Mhm.
And there's a stigma that goes behind it
Yeah.
when you do not have children. You have a nice home, a nice job, nice car, but there is a but. Where are your kids? And we talked about church people, and I'll take the risk by saying this because it's the truth.
It's the truth.
Church people are insensitive people.
Oh.
I remembered being humiliated from the pulpit on a Mother's Day service. And let me tell you, and to this day, God has rewarded me. Those that pray in secret,
Mhm.
He shall reward you
Publicly.
openly,
Yes.
publicly. And to
Okay.
this day, right there, my 4 healthy, bouncing children.
Yeah.
Look at God.
Look here, let me tell you. So, my advice to you women who are going through, and it's a real issue,
Mhm.
infertility is real, and
It's
a
real.
lot of young women are experiencing
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
Look at your experience as a waiting room experience. If you put your faith to the test, God will do it.
Mhm.
You got to trust Him. Surround yourself with a community of persons who
Yeah.
are able to speak positive
Yes.
in your life. Those that will encourage you to keep the faith. And that's what we did. It's not easy, it's not overnight, but with God's help,
Oh,
you
this
will
is
live it out.
possible. Listen to me. 3 boys,
Mhm.
and I've seen the way that they interact. I've seen the energy that they have, and sometimes I'd be scratching my head. I said, "Gosh, I don't know." I mean, thank God Zaya was more calm.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, she
Girl,
is. Yes, she
they,
is.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
boys, like even with my son, as old as he is, he's still running around and
Mhm.
doing. I can still. I don't know
That's
what's going on
them.
with
That's
him.
just
That's
them.
boys.
That's
Mhm.
boys.
Mhm.
Okay, so how are you facing any challenges with them right now? Being, having 4 kids, and even though you're not working, you're a
Stay-at-home mom, yes.
right? Which is still a job, by the way. So you
Full
are
time.
it's a
Job.
full-time
Yeah.
job.
Sunrise
So
to
let me-
sunset, and
okay?
you're still going.
All right. But are you experiencing any challenges at the moment?
Well, they're good children. I
Mhm.
must say they're normal. But meeting each one with their particular need can be a bit of a challenge. But I'm thankful for my husband. We parent well. My little village support system. I know my sister's listening. Hi, Keisha.
Hi, Keisha.
And
Uh-huh.
doing it together. And but balance can be a bit challenging because you have church, you have other activities, and you have them, and you have yourself. Please do not lose yourself
Okay.
in all of it. But you know,
So what
doing
can you
it.
tell someone who is listening, who may be having challenges with conceiving, with conception? What can you tell that woman today?
I would encourage her to keep the faith. Keep the faith. That's if you've already tried everything, it's out of your hands. But as you wait, you pray, you praise, and trust God to see you through.
And this is my final question, because you said you're a stay-at-home mom. That's a whole job.
Mm-hmm.
You're a pastor's wife. That's another full job.
Mm-hmm.
How, if you don't mind me asking, how do you balance all of that and marriage? Is there advice for anyone who may be in the same situation that you're in with having young children and still want to maintain their marriage? What advice would you give them?
Good question. For me, I prioritize. I know my ministry is to my family first. First and foremost, my husband, my children, and so I that in itself is ministry,
Mm.
and so I cater to those needs first. Everything else comes second,
Okay.
and it makes the job easier.
Okay. Okay.
I owe no apologies for that.
Okay, don't. This is the type of women that we need in this country today,
Yes.
not the yes passer ones who go
Yes.
get their pastor straight
Mhm.
before the husband and their
Mm-mm.
children.
No, ma'am.
This
No,
is
ma'am.
not for those weak ones who would leave their household. The
Mhm.
children still hungry. The husband trying to trying to get a little something before he go. But you
Lord
go
have
into
mercy.
Sunday school and going to excuse me, this is your lane. Life coaching.
Yes.
I'm gonna be real. Everything about me is real. All right. So let me
Yes.
speak to the women out there who try to put everybody else first
Mhm.
before their households. 2 words. Don't. Well, that's 3
That's
words.
3 words.
Don't do it. All right, don't do it. Don't do it. All right, your obligation and priority,
Yes.
first of all, is to God.
Yes.
Secondly, to your husband, and thirdly, to your children. Everything else comes after, and that's after they've already been taken care of, catered to, etc.
Mhm.
And then you can move ahead and do what else. That's the format. That's the formula. That's the principle. And I'm telling you, if you haven't been doing this before, that may be the reason why your life may be a little chaotic.
Mhm.
All right. So priorities are very important. So let's see if we can get along with that. Though that was excellent advice. And thank you so much, Ashanta. Thank you so much, Carrie Ann, for being here and for sharing your story. You ladies were phenomenal. Up next, just before our break, we have Dr. Graham in the house. Hey, we're gonna take a break though before we introduce her. And just before we do that, I have a question to the audience. We want to give you a $20 gift voucher, a gas voucher courtesy of Airborne Freight and Cargo Services. And the question is, other than a missed period, what other symptom have you experienced that made you assume that you were pregnant? So other than a missed menstruation or missed cycle, what other symptom have you had? Because from what I heard with Ashanta and Carrie Ann, they were like 6 months in and 13 weeks in and all these other things, and they didn't even know that they were pregnant. There are lots of women who went up until, I don't know how true it is, but I guess Dr. Graham will tell me, there are people who was up to giving birth
There's a
or
whole
in
show
delivery.
about it, right?
Okay, and didn't know they were pregnant. So let me give you all this $20 gas voucher, because let me tell you, gas gone up. You're gonna need that little thing. All right, so we're gonna take a break. You can call 328-8163, 328-8164, or 328-8165. Yes, ladies, on the Facebook Live, you can also call in. I won't be accepting the answers on Facebook Live. I want you to call in. Let's see if we can get some. Let me hear your voices, man. This is the third show. Let me hear your voices. 328-8163, 328-8164, 328-8165. We're going to take a break.
Nadia already said food aversions and asked now, how do I collect this voucher now?
We're going to let them. I'm going to dismiss the ladies. They were phenomenal. Thank you so much for coming.
You are most
Oh,
welcome.
it was a pleasure.
All right.
It's a pleasure. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord.
Only God. Just
Yes.
Great Tony. So
Yes.
y'all know, y'all story awesome. It awesome.
Yes.
Ashanta and Carrie Ann, this is Dr. Nina Brown.
Nice to meet you, Dr. Brown. I'll listen in.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
tune in to the rest.
Yeah, please do listen in. Thank
Yeah,
you so
it's
much.
crazy out
Sorry
there.
about
It's
that.
wet again.
It's wet.
Well, please be
Yeah,
careful.
it's raining and.
Oh my. Thanks, hon. So
Thank you.
we'll chat.
You buying the ground? You don't believe in that? That's how we behave. That's a behavior.
I drop everything in the car.
Oh, my
all the
still.
Caribbean wives
Okay, no problem.
You were telling me I could go out by a Zoom when you
Well,
sent me
if
the
you,
thing.
next time, we will make sure you come back. But if you think,
Oh, let me
you
take
have a
that down
really
for you.
good-
Just a
Bye,
little bit.
y'all.
Bye-bye.
Okay, ladies, thank you.
If you have a really good
Okay.
Wi-Fi, Dr. Graham,
Huh?
next time, if you have a really good, like that, the Wi-Fi you have at home is
Okay.
solid, right?
Well, no, actually.
This one is short.
It's in and out.
This is short.
Oh, this break is short. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Make sure you settle. Which one is she using? This one? Okay, and the camera can get her? Okay.
Oh, somebody calling. You need to have, you want to take this now?
Yeah, let me take it. We're gonna break it, or should we take it on live?
Let's take it.
Okay.
Hold for us, please.
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, I'm sorry that I was late. I was
No,
like,
but everything was perfect. The day we were.
Stand by. I'm coming to you.
Okay.
okay.
I didn't get you. This headphones is talking.
Okay.
You're listening to Your Lane with Coach Trish Hanna.
Welcome back, everyone. Just before we went on a break, we had a question because, like I said, gas went off. The question is, what, other than a missed menstruation or missed cycle, what other symptom have you experienced that made you assume that you were pregnant? We had a call and we lost them. Caller, can you call back? Sorry for keeping you on hold for so long. You can call back because I know gas is something that everyone needs. Back on? Okay. Good evening and welcome to Your Lane with Coach Trish Hanna. Good afternoon. How are you? I'm great. How may I help you this evening? Yes, ma'am. I can't wait to hear this. So, other than a missed cycle, what other symptom have you experienced that made you assume that you were pregnant? Oh, gee. Can Dr. Graham hear this? Because we got a doctor now. She gonna need to hear this.
Go ahead.
Say that again, ma'am. You did not have a missed period. Dr. Graham, she had a regular cycle. How do we explain that?
When you say regular cycles, you mean like a period, like it stopped. Hold on. No, hold on. It came on for 5 to 7 days and it stopped and then it came the next month. Well, you probably was having just bleeding in pregnancy, which can occur. Um,
Oh, wow. How many kids do you have? 4. And how old is the youngest one? Oh, my goodness. Wow. Wow. But listen, thank you so much for answering the question. It wasn't really a question. It was just basically trying to figure out. We're being nosy. That's all it was. It was just being nosy. Mm-hmm. Oh, gee. Uh-huh. What? 6.5 months. So you went 6.5 months without knowing that you were pregnant. Wow. Wow. That's just phenomenal. Listen, this gas voucher is yours. Hold on the line so we can tell you how you can obtain it. Thank you so much for calling in. God bless you. All right. So I was able to get Dr. Graham talking without even introducing her. Oh my goodness. All right. So on the side of me, this is a beautiful. I'm seeing her for the very first time. You're beautiful.
well, thank
You are beautiful. Dr. Nina Graham specializes in obstetrics and gynecology. Am I saying that right? Because I asked my guest before. I said, is it obstetrics or obstetrics?
Obstetrics.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah. She is passionate about women's health and well-being and is dedicated to providing quality, comprehensive women's health care services. Dr. Graham obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in biology from Marymount Manhattan College in New York and a Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery from the University of the West Indies in Trinidad. Subsequently, she obtained a doctorate of medicine in obstetrics and gynecology and certifications in first trimester ultrasound colposcopy. Listen, I didn't go to Trinidad, West Indies with all these different terms, all right? Colposcopy and forensic gynecology. Dr. Graham is a proud Bahamian and is very passionate about patient education and primary prevention. She encourages regular well women checkups because of her belief in the importance of early detection. Welcome, Dr. Graham.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I was praying all weekend that the babies that you have and you catering for, they stay put in their storehouses until at least after the show.
May the Lord listen to you and answered your prayer.
Hello. Now listen, let me get, because I'm a little comical, a little funny, like to laugh a little bit. I don't know what's with our culture, but there is an elderly lady in our church, and you'll always find an elderly lady or someone who always have some type of way, a method of how you should conceive, right? So here's this elderly lady that goes to my church, and she goes, this is before I was ever pregnant. And she goes, y'all ain't have no children yet? No, mom. Okay, so this is what you do.
Turn upside down and
You tell a nice story. All right? First you tell me. You gotta, yeah, this is the type of show we at, okay? So make sure no kids in the room. First you tell you gotta lay down the missionary way, because you can't do those other styles, these new styles were coming out. That's what you're telling me. You can't do the other new styles with coming out. You gotta do the regular missionary way. Yes, mom. I get that tip. Then she said, when you're done finished, you gotta keep your leg up.
Yes.
And you gotta keep it there and let it stay there for at least 5-10 minutes so it can catch. It can catch. That's what she said.
Mhm,
So I say, yes, mom. And she said, after you done do that, pop, the chair and come.
mhm,
But that never happened.
mhm,
That never happened until about 3 years into my marriage.
mhm.
What? Let's start. I don't know. Is there really a method, or that's just an old wives' tale or something? Because I'm sure you could get pregnant by doing any little thing. You could play around and pop, you get a baby. So is there like a real method to conception?
Well, I don't think so, but the old people, they must have been onto something. What you have to understand during the copulation, right? The sperm has to meet the egg. All right. So ejaculation, right? And then it has to go up through the cervix and up to the uterus, and really fertilization occurs in the tube. So there is some method to the madness, I guess, in a sense where, sometimes if there's ejaculation, sometimes some of the sperm can come out. So if you turn upside down, I suppose.
Upside down,
yeah,
folks.
I'm thinking that was the method of thinking. But, it doesn't really. Once the sperm's swimming good, then
because they know how to swim.
Yeah,
they go against gravity.
But then yes, and they have an energy cells. They have energy in the cells that allow them to swim effectively. Now, if the man has a problem with his sperm, then you have an issue.
A problem, like low sperm count.
Exactly. Or there are other things within the sperm that can be abnormal that causes infertility.
Wow.
So, I mean, a lot of men or our population or the Caribbean population feel as though in most cases infertility is female infertility. But no, it can be a male infertility or female or both.
Wow.
Okay, so it could be an issue with the man and the woman.
So so let's say for someone who's been trying, one of my guests said that she was trying for 8 years. What could you, I don't know if she even mentioned what the issue was, but is there at a point, let's say that there was an issue with, let's say the male, for instance, and then, only God, that's all I could say. But is there a way that the issue can be resolved without going to any form of like doctors or taking any type of medication on its own? Can the issue of a man's sperm count or low sperm count issue
Prayer?
Other than prayer? No. Okay. Well, see, that's where God comes in. See, that's the creator of everything. He created us anyway.
Well, it depends on what the issue is, because you may have a physical issue with the organs, and then you can have an issue with the sperm itself. You can have, so it just like with the woman, fertility doesn't just involve the uterus. Okay, you have to have a balanced hormone. You have to have your tubes and your womb and your cervix has to be in line. All right, so all of that comes into play, and in addition to your hormones, you have to be ovulating.
Right.
All right, and you have to have good progesterone levels, which is the hormone of pregnancy. And so a whole bunch of things come into play. And then there are, of course, medical conditions that can cause infertility in a woman and in a man. Okay. And then with a man, his the whole brain and then the hormones that has something to do with it too. And then physical things, his tubes, the tubes that goes to the that puts out the sperm and all of that, your prostate, all of those things come into play. So when you're looking at infertility in either one, you have to look at all those things. You add medications. Some women take medications for medical conditions, and that can have effect. So it's a combination of things, and so you can't say just one non-medical thing. I'm just go drink this bush medicine.
Right.
No.
Guinness.
it,
Strong back.
it doesn't really
Conk.
work like that. And not only that, if you are at a physician, if you manage to get to a physician and they just you have to be properly worked up or investigated before, and in some cases it's an unknown.
Wow.
They don't know. Okay, you even have persons who go through IVF, in vitro fertilization,
yeah.
and it still doesn't work.
Yes.
And then you have to look at things like natural killer cells and things that actually attack the cells. That could be a cause, but there are a whole myriad of things you have to look at.
How common is infertility here in our culture?
Well, I never did a study, so I really can't address that, but I can tell you that I think it's pretty common. I would say in my practice, I see at least 2 to 3 patients a week.
Wow.
At least.
And if you in your practice, at what age bracket you consider?
Anywhere from in their 20s straight up. And then you have persons in their 40s and oh boy.
So let me ask. So it has nothing to do with because this is my belief. I believe it's something to do with the food, our hormones.
No. It's hormones. I think in most cases, and most of the patients that I see, it's a hormonal imbalance. And to be quite honest, the most common thing that I have seen in my practice is PCOS.
Yeah,
Polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And
what causes that?
the cause is not really known, but they have some drivers. All right. And the most common driver for PCOS is insulin resistance. Okay. In about 70% of cases, it's insulin resistance. And so and PCOS is very common in this country. And what happens in most cases, the patients present with abnormal menses, and so they're not ovulating. And because they're not ovulating, they can't get pregnant.
Right.
And so that is the main complaint. The main complaint of most of my PCOS patients, and a lot of them don't have a clue what PCOS is. They have no idea. And then the problem for those who have been worked up and have been found to have PCOS, one of the management of PCOS is to put the patient on the pill and regulate their periods.
Right.
And of course they come to me, but I don't want to go on the pill. I'm trying to get pregnant.
Right.
So it's like they don't take the management. They don't follow it. Okay. And so they're looking for other ways.
Right. Are there other ways?
Yeah. There are the supplements. There are metformin. Those are the main things. And then of course after that, some of them will twist your arm. Oh, okay, so put me on Clomid, which is a fertility drug for ovulation induction. And so that's the next step. I have some patients come to me right away. I want you to put me on Clomid. I was like, wait, hold on.
They want twins and triplets because that's what I heard what Clomid does.
Yes.
And I'm like, take me away from that. Sign on that one.
Well, I mean, if you can get twins and triplets on one go, then and you're having infertility issues, I say go ahead.
Go ahead.
But there are other things.
Mhm.
But there are other ways to deal with that other than the Clomid, and a lot of people don't.
So what do you consider to be the most or the least cost effective when it comes to fertility? Like you said, the Clomid, you said the
You mean for
for
PCOS?
PCOS. Like what is the because like you mentioned also bush medicine, because I have some people, these are naturalists and herbalists who swear on bush medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Because bush, that's the medicine for the soul. And this, you don't need no medications and you don't need to go to get no prescriptions. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, basically, plant-based therapy is good because it's some of the same things that we use in a pure form. But the problem is you can't really monitor bush medicine like that. Um, but one of the ways that I try to help patients with their ovulation and their menses, I put them on myoinositol, the patients with PCOS, and that's a supplemental way of trying to make sure that your ovulation is regulated. All right. So traditionally, I've learned to, the pill and metformin. And then I also, I would use myoinositol first. And that's a supplement. It's not bush medicine, but it has certain things in it that helps, things like zinc and calcium, and that help in when you're trying to get pregnant and helping the patient with ovulation.
Now,
It
I
helps.
had to crack a little joke somewhere in here. I
Oh,
can't be
Lord.
serious for too long. And I can show you the pictures when we go on our next break, but on my Your Lane Life Coaching page, it shows some pictures of women when they were pregnant and then the state that they're in now. Now, some of the pregnancy pictures, um, you know, beautiful women now. And then
Mhm.
when they were pregnant, like their nose from one side of their head to the next, it's swollen. I'm serious. Or they
Mhm.
have some form of discoloration.
Mhm.
They usually have discolorations on the neck, or they break out, or their
Those are
feet are swollen.
hormonal.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was my question. So
Mhm.
what causes these things? The
Yeah.
discoloration and the
The
swelling of
yeah.
the feet.
Yeah, it's the hormones. Well, there's the progesterone, which is the hormone of pregnancy, and then you have some effects of estrogen. So mainly those two hormones have those effect on pregnant women, and some more than the others.
So for the for the glamorous pregnant women, is there something that they can do or a pill that they can use to continue to stay as glamorous and beautiful?
I
Or
don't
they
know
just
about
have
no
to
pill,
face
but
it. They have to face the
and
dark
then
neck and the white
afterwards,
face.
yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes
okay.
because some things that you would normally use for someone who have discoloration is not
Mhm.
compatible in pregnancy.
Right.
So
Right.
you
can't-
want to
yeah.
try to minimize as much as possible the things that you use in pregnancy. You know.
Awesome. Awesome. They say that when a woman has a cesarean, she should not be allowed to have more than 3 children. What is your take on that? Have you done any form of operations where persons have more than 3 cesareans?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But the reason why we kind of give it a number here in the Bahamas is because of the lack of resources that's available. Um, the problem with the repeated cesarean section is the sections is the high risk of uterine rupture.
Mm.
Okay, and so if we allow some women, they'll have 4 and 5 and 6 children, and the more cesarean sections you have, the more scarring, the more and mind you, someone with 4 cesarean sections may not have any scarring, and someone with 2 cesarean sections may have plenty scarring with all and how the body gets itself back to normal, or how it heals, is by scarring.
Right.
And so the more you go into usually by the bikini line, which is what we call the lower uterine segment, the more you go in there, the more scar tissue, the more difficult it is. And even later on, for women who've had repeated cesarean sections, I mean, some women, just because they don't want the whole effort of pushing, you'll hear them screaming, "Oh, just section me," but they don't understand that even later on in life, there's a risk of chronic pelvic pain with repeated cesarean sections. So even though it may be easy for the patient at the time,
Right.
it's not such a good thing.
Right.
Right. And so we even try to encourage, even if you had one cesarean section, your first section was a cesarean section, we try to encourage in a subsequent pregnancy to have a normal delivery, what we call a VBAC, if you can. Now, of course, if you don't go into labor on your own, we have to section you, but we try to encourage that because there are all sorts of complications that can occur.
Yeah.
So you have uterine rupture, and you can have improper implantation of the placenta. So it could lie low. You could have rupture, abruption. Sorry. And or it may be difficult, or what we have a morbidly adherent placenta can occur around the scar area. And so it makes it difficult to express the placenta during delivery. And so you bleed and your uterus doesn't contract. And you could be in a life-threatening situation where you're bleeding out, and we have to end up taking out the uterus anyway.
One time. I have a question here on our Facebook Live, Your Lane Life Coaching Facebook. If you want to see us, if you want to see this beautiful young Dr. Nina Graham, you can go on Your Lane Life Coaching Facebook page to take a look. But the question that was asked here was, should women still try to get pregnant if they have an incompetent cervix?
Yes. Cervical incompetence, if it is diagnosed very early, or previously, if you had an incompetent cervix and required a stitch, then prophylactically you will get a stitch. So it is just important that you plan your pregnancy, or the minute you find out that you're pregnant, that you seek your obstetrician. So, well, after the first trimester, if all is well with the pregnancy, no complications, no abnormalities with the baby, then you go ahead and put in the stitch prophylactically.
We're going to take a break, but I just want y'all to know, make sure there are no kids in the room, because we're going to be talking about sex. Woohoo!
Wow.
My favorite subject. Let me calm down. So we're going to be talking about sex after this break.
Wow.
Please excuse my bubbly personality.
Huh?
Please excuse my bubbly personality.
No,
Yeah.
Charleston. That's what you need when you have a job like that. Well, any job actually. I'm trying to find what is it? What is the? You put more cameras on me?
No, that's the same one. I just moved.
That's the same one.
Give you a different
I'm gonna WhatsApp it to you right now. The link.
Oh, okay. No, you need. Oh, sorry. I need to give you my other number. Sorry. Yes, that was me
This
calling.
me? Who does it? It's calling me.
I'm
and
so
they know
sorry.
I am.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That was her. All right, so should I send it to that number?
No, to that
Okay,
number.
I'll do that right now.
That's my personal cell. I was trying to call and say, I'm coming. I'm sorry, I'm coming. I'm in the rain and the water.
That's okay.
Get airborne pregnant college services to try. No drama there. If you need items to be collected,
That's the last break, okay?
or you
Okay.
don't have a credit card,
How long is it?
ship your items to
We're actually be done by 7:30.
Oh, okay.
Give them a call. Airborne Pregnant College Services, 377-0450, or visit their Facebook page at Ship Airborne.
Is that you who sent? Oh no, someone else sent me something.
One-stop shop for all your footwear needs. Whatever the occasion, John's is confident you'll find what you're looking for. Come on.
Yeah, I have a lot of people in my practice with PCOS.
What, sorry?
PCOS.
Yeah, I noticed that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Huge issue. With
There we go.
consumption. Wow.
You gotta read fifth place.
Later on, but I'm gonna read from that sample and come back on. Later on, but I'm gonna read
Come back.
This
This is
the
you.
headphones anymore, right?
Unless you give it a call.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, turn it on.
oh.
Bye-bye.
Coach Trish Hanna.
Need blood work right away? Family Medicine Center has just what you need right when you need it. They provide excellent in lab testing for HIV, blood, glucose, cholesterol, kidney, liver, and thyroid function. All routine testing is done in there on site, on the lab, in the lab on site with same day results. Visit their website for more information www.familymedicinecenter.org or give them a call at 702-9310. So we're back, ladies, and we are talking to Dr. Nina Graham. And like I said, we're going to be talking about, let's talk about baby. Let's talk about you and me. So when you're pregnant, Dr. Graham, first of all, you got to do that in order for you to get pregnant, right?
Mhm.
So what happens when you are already pregnant? Like for instance, with my husband, I can put him a little bit on blast. All right. When we first conceived, when we first had our baby, he didn't want to do anything much because he's like, "Oh God, we can do something to the baby." Do
Mhm.
you hear that?
All the time, all the time. And
can you really do something to the baby? Quote unquote?
no, only if in the first trimester, sometimes women bleed, and they're having what we call a threatened miscarriage.
Mhm.
And so we tend to, physicians, obstetricians tend to say pelvic rest.
Mhm.
And pelvic rest is no sex, because we're basically waiting, not interfering or doing anything to the pregnancy until it has advanced, the bleeding has stopped, we're out of the clear.
Mhm.
But other than that, no.
Feel free.
Mhm.
Go do what you gotta do. Have
Yeah,
fun. So
you
is
can
it
have
true
sex.
that I know the answer to this because I know how my body was. But for other people, is it true that we become more sexual as women when we are pregnant?
Mhm.
Why is that?
And it hormonal, just like during our menses or just before the menses, you are hypersexual. Again, it's how the menstrual cycle work. You have in the first part before ovulation, it's the estrogen levels are high,
Mhm.
then it goes to the progesterone levels being high. So yes,
Yeah.
it's
So,
hormonal.
is there any advice that you can give to pregnant women who, still have an issue with whether or not they should have sex, or
Um,
like the way that they used to do it before, or should they be more cautious of what is being done and how it's being done?
as long as there is no threat to the pregnancy, I say you can have sex as normal with some stipulations. I mean, don't go crazy, but
Don't
swinging
go
from the
crazy.
chandelier.
Don't swing from the chandelier. Don't turn upside down.
But you can still have sex as long as there's no issues. The minute that there is an issue, then you may have to um, stop the sex or limit it. And as for the men, no, they won't do anything to the pregnancy, as they think. So no. And up until, when you get more advanced, there's certain positions that it will be more difficult with a very big belly. But so of course, what you may be doing in the first trimester, you can't do in the third trimester.
Dr. Graham,
Uh.
I was having those flashbacks. Listen to me. But especially with listen, you can imagine a tiny little person because I done small. I was but this small and belly but this big.
Yes,
And so we
exactly.
trying to find a way to see how we can
Yes.
make this work.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I had to turn around a couple of times, Dr. Graham. I had to turn
Yeah.
around and bend over a couple of times.
Mhm.
It's too much information. Lord, Erica could call y'all tomorrow. To me. Okay, so what are some of the danger signs for pregnant women? What are some things that they may discover, or something that may happen to their body that they may just brush off, but it may be some type of danger to them?
Okay. One of some of the more common conditions in pregnancy are hypertension of pregnancy or preeclampsia. Now, a lot of times women with preeclampsia present with a lot of the symptoms, and some may only present with one. So, one of the main symptoms may be headaches.
Mm.
All right. Now,
Symptoms,
women, yes, women just say, oh, I haven't had anything to eat,
Mhm,
or I stressed out, or something like that.
mhm,
And so they kind of dismiss it. Heartburn is also a symptom that you may experience with preeclampsia or hypertension of pregnancy. Okay. Yeah. And you may also experience now, a lot of women may not think anything of it, but they may have blurred vision or visual disturbances. They see stars, little flashing lights. So some women may be like, okay, I just have to lie down. I'm working too hard or whatever. So those are, and vomiting.
That was
Uh,
me through all my pregnancies.
Right. But if your vomiting is associated with high blood pressure,
Okay.
so of course you have to have an elevated blood pressure with
Mhm.
these symptoms. All right. And sometimes for women, the elevated blood pressure may not be that elevated. Like it may not be 170 over 100,
Mhm.
but it may be, let's say, 140 over 80, mildly elevated. But if you look at a tiny woman like yourself, your blood pressure to start off with may have been 86 over 60 some,
Mhm.
and that was your normal blood pressure. So if your blood pressure goes up to 120, that's a significant rise, as opposed to somebody whose blood pressure may have started out around 120 and then it goes to 150 or 160.
Mhm.
All right. So anytime you have an elevated blood pressure with any of those things, headaches, visual disturbances, vomiting, epigastric pain, or pain in the upper abdomen, you may have swelling of the hands and feet.
Mhm.
Now, swelling is normally experienced in pregnancy, but if that associated with any of those other things is a red flag.
We have someone on the Facebook Live that asked, my doctor tried to prescribe me an Advil every day to control hypertension, even though my blood pressure wasn't high. Is that common?
Like what? Advil to
Every day
control
to
their
control
blood pressure?
hypertension,
No, no,
even
no.
though my blood pressure wasn't high. Is that common?
No, no, no.
It's a no.
No.
What?
No.
No. You don't have anything to say about it.
I
We're trying to be nice here. We ain't trying to push no doctor.
was that
under
an
the bus.
obstetrician or was that just
I
a
don't
family
know. She just
doctor?
said,
Or-
"My doctor."
No, I think maybe it doesn't have all the information. Maybe she didn't have hypertension and they were giving, well, you shouldn't give Advil anyway in pregnancy. But if she had Panadol or something, then it was probably just for the headaches. And her pressure wasn't elevated.
If you have a question, we have a few more
Mm-mm.
minutes. If you do have a question for Dr. Graham, please give us a call at 328-8163, 328-8164, or 328-8165. That's 328-8163, 328-8164, or 328-8165. I have a live read and can't find it. So, it's all going down tonight at Fifth Place Restaurant and Bar for the Bahamian Thing Volume 3, featuring the Sky Juice Band. Dr. Graham, you think they still having this tonight? They ain't call me and tell me to cancel?
They probably still having it, even though it's
Okay.
raining outside.
Show starts at 8 p.m. You still have an opportunity to get there.
Wow.
The entrance is free before 8. You still have some time. So if you're getting ready while listening to us, go get ready and go. It's promising to be very, very fun. Obviously, you got a whole live band there. That's exciting. Come to represent your island. And if you want to find out if they're still having it, give them a call at 817-2942. That's 817-2942. And they're actually allowing you to reserve your table. So you can give them a call for 817-2942 this evening. It's not too late. Get in free before 8 o'clock. That's Fifth Place Restaurant and Bar, Theodora Lane, off Tonic Williams Darling Highway. So Sky Juice Band here. What? Somebody's asking about Sky Juice Band. But guess what? They play very well. Tony, you ever had them play? They're really good. They're really, really good. Dr. Graham, so tell me about okay, how what do you call a normal pregnancy?
Uh, blood pressure is fine. Blood sugar is fine. No elevated. Yeah, no bleeding. They just I have had I think one or two in my you come for all your visits and everything's fine.
Just one or
It's a
two
normal
out of all the
yeah, it's always
there's always something.
yes, it's always
Listen,
something.
let me tell you my little 5 cent story. When I first got pregnant, I couldn't take, and you can help me with this, and other people who may have experienced the same thing, the scent of anything. I would get mad if my husband puts on cologne in the house. He has to take all the cologne off the table and put it in his car and spray it out there when it's time for him to go. Do not spray the cologne in our house, please.
Mhm, mhm.
I couldn't stand hand sanitizers. Because from then we were using hand sanitizers. COVID just bring it up more, but I couldn't stand hand sanitizer. I used to bathe in Joy, Tony, Joy, because I couldn't take our Downy, she didn't say Downy, our Dove soap, Caress soap. I couldn't take any of those scents.
Mm,
Is there a term for that?
I don't think so, but
Craziness?
no, no. But in pregnancy, early pregnancy, the first trimester, you are hypersensitive
Yeah. So I
to
could smell
sense
the
to
world.
odor.
I could smell
Even
everything.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes you even well, I've heard a lot with the perfumes. I've heard with the different foods that they're super sensitive to, but that's
Awesome.
normal.
That's normal.
I mean, yeah, and some that's
Okay.
it's just different things.
So, is there anything before we close? Is there anything that you would want to say to those who, well, for a couple persons? One, those who are trying to conceive. Secondly, those who may have issues with infertility, and then thirdly, those who are presently pregnant.
Okay, well, the first thing for that we can address all of those groups with is it would be good, it would be excellent if a couple would come prior to becoming pregnant. I have had a few patients that actually come and say, "Look, I'm looking to get married in a year. I want to make sure that everything is okay."
Oh, that's a smart person.
Yes,
Mhm.
and so I find that it's important. Preconception counseling is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, most women come when they're already pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then with me also, I find that women who have lost a pregnancy or two pregnancies, that they don't follow up after the loss, they come again when they're pregnant. So you cannot very well find out exactly what the cause it was. Okay, so preconception counseling and preconception workup is very important, especially in patients who have medical conditions prior to becoming pregnant. So if you're hypertensive, diabetic, if you have sickle cell anemia, anything like lupus, and any of those high risk pregnancies, it is extremely important to go to your obstetrician prior.
Prior to.
All right. And then, like I said, if you had losses prior, like the lady was asking about an incompetent cervix, if you had a history of incompetent cervix, don't show up when you starting to bleed, you're already pregnant, because putting in a stitch now is very high risk because
Mhm.
chances are you're going to lose the baby again. You miss the boat.
Right.
So just going to if it's not an obstetrician, or going to your family doctor, do some tests, see if you have anything like high blood pressure, anything before.
Mhm.
And that is my main thing. And even for infertility, do the work before.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Graham. Thanks so much for being present. Your information was very valuable tonight. And I'm sure that persons who are tuning in, or for those who may tune in a little later on, because we are obviously recording so that they have a chance to watch it again, will definitely benefit from your words of wisdom and your information. So thank you so much once again. And just a little point for those who are trying to conceive. Listen, don't make it a chore, please. Don't make it a chore. Lord, don't burden your husband, please. Don't put your husband down. Oh, We ovulating. Come, let's go, let's go, let's go. This is not work. Enjoy the sex. Enjoy each other. Make love to each other. Don't stress yourself out. Don't stress him out. Just take your time and allow it to happen. And then, furthermore, for those who may have experienced um, infertility or experiencing infertility or having issues, know that guess what? Everything is a process. Everyone, there are persons who went through it as well, and then there are persons who came out of it and they're able to tell the story, successful stories. So don't feel as if it's only you and you're the only one burdened with this. Just know that joy comes in the morning. Everything is going to be all right. And for those who've already had the successful stories or success stories, tell it, share it, let someone else know. Let people know that it's okay. Yes, we've been through this, but better things can happen. Or things can happen. You could. There is a child, to come. We were all, as women, I believe, we were made and created to be fruitful, right? It's just that sometimes it takes a little longer for others, but we're all created to be. We were promised to be fruitful. For those who knows about Scripture. So thank you so much once again. I'm excited about next week's show. Next week's show, we're going to have a few of therapists and psychologists from the Ministry of Education and a psychologist from Family Medicine Center that'll be coming forth and talking to us about how can we tell if our children are going through learning disabilities or learning challenges. All right, so you want to tune in next week for that. And I want to thank once again our sponsors, Listerine, distributed by Lowe's Wholesale, Airborne Freight and Cargo Services, Calico Bay, where the cool kids shop, Celestial Treats, John's Shoe Store and Accessories, National Workers Cooperative Credit Union, Family Medicine Center, and Fifth Place Restaurant and Bar. Thank you once again, everyone. God bless you and have a wonderful, wonderful week.
The fuel system improves fuel economy.
Wow.
Okay.
All
good.
right.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you too. Dr. Brown, this is your last time coming here. I telling you, I ain't asking you, I telling you.
Yeah, I